Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fumbling Gurus, a podcast that covers the NFL. And now, your hosts, Tom, John, and Gannon.
Hey everyone. We'll be jumping into the previous week here. As the title suggests, maybe not a great week for myself and John. Gannon, maybe we'll give you a little bit to talk about your Eagles. I don't know. We're getting kind of tired of hearing about the Eagles, so
I get it.
uh,
I get it.
I guess we'll go ahead and rip the band-aid off, John. What do you say?
Let's do it. Let's just get it over with.
All right. I'll go first. Buccaneers. I mean, this is what I've been, I guess, asking for the last couple weeks. Like, let's just lose and get it over with and have a terrible game. Because it's like we keep. There's been a couple games we come back, we somehow find a win, and it's like I don't want that. I just want us to lose. I want us to see how bad we truly are. Find a way, a path forward, whatever, and let's just move on. So maybe that's what this is the reset we needed. I'm hoping. Hopefully it's not just the rest of our games look like this. For anyone that didn't get to watch, it was like 28 to nothing at halftime. The San Francisco 49ers started a rookie quarterback. He played a little bit last week, but this was his first start. It was his first game. He was fully into it. Um, and he made the defense left wide open gaps for him. He was making a bunch of throws. He looked good, but the Bucks also looked really bad on defense, on offense, on everything. Brady threw a couple picks. That is the first time he's really thrown interceptions this season. Just all over the board. We couldn't get much going. Um, but yeah, someone in chat said 49ers are pretty good. 49ers are looking like they are getting to a place where they might be hard to beat. Debo Samuel got a little injured. Luckily, it didn't like it looked bad on the replay. But from last I saw, just an ankle sprain, so a couple weeks more than likely. Um, but yeah, they have McCaffrey coming out. Purdy's looking good. I mean, again, you never know. He's a rookie coming in. There'll probably be bad games coming up. But he looks like he could have potential in the years coming. Um, but yeah, I think 49ers looking good. Bucks definitely looking bad. I don't know if you guys want to add in anything to that game, but I stopped watching around halftime, and I was pretty much done at that point.
Everybody knows Brady's past. He grew up a 49ers fan. If you didn't know that, you watched the game, you heard it 63,000 times.
Pretty much, yeah. Even
Brady
before
is
the
a,
game started, yeah.
oh, yeah. Brady was a six-round draft pick, and
I did
you've
not
got
know
all the,
that.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
crazy. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. I know that that was never mentioned at all in the anything ever being put out there. It's kind of and being the largest age gap from oldest quarterback, youngest quarterback to ever face off in a regular season game. I mean, things that nobody ever talked about. With that, all of that said, Purdy looked like the pro. Brady looked like the rook.
It's pretty true, honestly.
I don't
Gannon,
really have much to add other than that.
I'm trying to comment as least as possible so we can just
I can say this. With all of that, you sweep the Saints and your team might still make playoffs.
uh, silver lining. Yeah, true. That's true.
I did see something that the Bucks could lose against the Bengals and one whoever else, the other team they face. As long as they beat the Falcons and Panthers, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's.
so odd.
I was talking to someone today, and I was like, "Yeah, as long as we beat our division opponents, we can lose every other game. We'll probably be in the playoffs." Yeah, I think our upcoming games, I think, are all division games after this last one. We have the Bengals, and I know we play the Falcons. I think we play the Panthers again. The Saints are done, so we got one more game that's not a division. But yeah, I mean, at least our
Cardinals.
yeah, that's right. Cardinals who now don't have a quarterback. So Our schedule gets easier after this week. I am not looking forward to this week. Playing the Bengals, who are on fire right now. It's like 4 or 5 game win streak they're on. Um, Jamar Chase just came back. That won't be a fun game. All right, John, your turn to rip the band-aid off.
All right, so we're gonna talk about this real quick. San Francisco, Miami stays in LA. They're facing the Chargers. You had the Tua versus Herbert and everything, and immediately every fan is making Chargers fan is making every excuse in the world. Half of our defense is hurt. Well, nobody mentions that half Miami's defense is hurt. All the Nobody mentioned the other side of this. Well, Miami goes in there. Waddle banged up. He looked like he was hurt. Tyreek, he gets banged up. You could tell he was hurt. And the coaching was bad. The quarterback was bad. The defense wasn't great. A kicking game was good. It was on point. Miami got beat. The Chargers tried to charger at the end. They fumbled the snap. They fumbled the onside kick. Two plays that could have bounced a little differently. Miami might have won that game. But the good news is, and a little spoiler alert, they get a much easier game next week to fix their offense after back-to-back weeks of being struggling mightily, into Buffalo with 30-mile-an-hour winds and snow.
Hmm. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Ouch.
Here's the deal. I don't want to talk about the game. I want to talk kind of holistic here about Miami, real quick. The Dolphins were 8-0 under Tua going into San Francisco. Game of America's game or whatever, game of the week, whatever crap they call that. Tua played his worst game of the year. He was inaccurate. The game plan wasn't great. Whatever. You chalked it up to a bad game. It happens. And then they go to the Chargers, and it was even worse. Now, the receivers weren't helping him. There were some drop passes. They weren't getting separation. The scheme wasn't great, whatever. But teams are starting to figure out the offense that was doing so well. He's done well early in the year, but when the games have mattered the most, he has folded, dating back to his rookie year last year and now so far this year. You got to make corrections. You got to do it quick because right now you were here and now you're tanking. You're falling hard and things just get more difficult. We talked about the Bucks remaining schedule. The Dolphins have the Bills, Patriots, Jets, and Green Bay Packers. They got to win 3 of the 4. Figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Well,
for us, we have that easier division, which helps, but you guys, it's going to be tough.
well, maybe if Tua would have fumbled to Tyreek Hill more, then they would have won that game.
Tua didn't fumble. Thank you.
That was an insane play.
That was. I'll give it that. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on, John. I like the synopsis. Good luck. I think I'm more hopeful for your team than my team, so I'll leave it at that. Gannon, you want to jump into? I don't even know if the Eagles had an opponent this week. I mean, didn't seem like much of a challenge. I was kind of excited about it heading into it, and then once the game started, it wasn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I talked about him last week where I told it was going to be a high scoring game. You're going to beat up on a deflated Giants team. They had some injuries. I know that Saquon was hurt, and you could tell, but I don't even a healthy Giants team, I don't think they could have stopped the Eagles. Um, Jalen Hurts played maybe one of his best games. Um, God, there was a statistic that I saw, and it was Jalen Hurts had 10 rushing touchdowns this season so far, and last year he had 10 rushing touchdowns this season, or that season. That's the first quarterback in NFL history with back-to-back seasons with 10 rushing touchdowns. That's insane. But like, I don't know, man. Like, this looks like the team to be. Obviously, it is best record in the NFL, and yeah, I it's hard to think that they're going to lose another game. But yeah, went in there, dismantled the Giants. I knew that was going to happen. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting to me because I don't know. You look at I guess some of the stats, right? But he's not a showy player, I guess. You look at some of the other teams that have like people you're always like, um, you know, Mahomes is always going to be good. Allen has to carry the Buffalo team, or else they don't do very well. I don't really get the same feeling with the Eagles, and which maybe points to like they're a more complete team and how they approach it versus they rely on just a single entity to kind of carry them through. But yeah, I hope it goes through the playoffs because I know last year that's where you guys kind of stopped. So I'd like to see you guys continue on, maybe live vicariously through you
if I will
outside the
say
box.
this, if your team somehow makes the playoffs and Buccaneers versus the Eagles play again,
Gonna,
and they somehow lose again, I'm going to quit. I'll just give up.
I would feel bad. We don't deserve to beat you guys in the playoffs this year. Uh,
Yeah, Brady in playoffs is a whole nother animal. I don't.
that's true. All right. We'll jump into some things that happened this week outside of our three main teams here. I think the place I wanted to start with some injuries essentially for the week. There were some big, I guess, people that'll be out, some other injuries, and then some questionable again calls and um, back to the concussion protocol, and it's clearly still not working despite all the pressure on it this season. So I guess we'll start there. Devontae Parker in that game, what was it last night? Uh, goes down. Clearly, they follow him right, follow him the entire time on camera. Clearly stumbles multiple times. Gets up to the line of scrimmage and can't even stand up straight. And his player has to stop the play. He's like, dude, can no one else see what is going on with my teammate here? So he basically, I think it was Nelson Aguilar, basically stops the play and says, we need to get this guy off the field. So, John, I know this was something with the Dolphins earlier in the year. It's something that keeps coming up. I don't know. At what point is someone or something held responsible for we have these and doctors that aren't supposed to be there, that's all they're looking at. They're not supposed to be an entity of either team. They're independent of the teams that are playing, and they're still not getting it right. What's the next step?
You know, it's tough because the players want to play. And I know Devontae Parker went on his Instagram and his Twitter feed and was like, "Yo, what's up, NFL?" But he also went to the line of scrimmage. I know he's dazed, and that's what he needs to do and supposed to do. But sometimes and I say this like I get it. It's hard. You don't want to. First off, no player wants to give up his position off of an injury. No, they want to play. They want to go through it. But sometimes it's up to the players. Have to take it upon themselves. But you're right. This has been inconsistent since the Tua thing, right? So Tua, obviously, he goes down, he gets up, he kind of falls down. They say it's a lower back injury. The next week, he gets a concussion. It was very serious. And you had all this stuff about, oh, he shouldn't have been playing and da, 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 blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So they changed the rules. Well, since they've changed the rules, we've now seen several quarterbacks go out, get dazed, get up, take a play off, go back in the game, and then 2 plays later get removed for a concussion. We saw that happen with Devontae Parker. I want to bring up Mike White. I don't know if you had this in your plan, but Mike White gets absolutely obliterated. He gets hurt. He gets back in the game. That's when he really got obliterated. He gets folded in half. He goes back out onto the field, finishes the game, and then gets rushed to the hospital. Now I've noticed one thing there. The media, the Twitterverse, the whatever you want to call it, I've noticed that no one has said that the Jets head coach should go to jail, that the doctors need to be fired. And I really am frustrated that Teddy Bridgewater got up a little slow and had to miss the entire game of the Jets game and probably cost Miami the win. And yet Mike White was allowed to play the rest of the game. There was a ton of scrutiny on the Dolphins organization. People threatening maybe they should lose draft picks. And we haven't heard a single word about the Jets. Why?
And I think too, it's well, who's holding these independent neurologists, whatever they are, responsible as well? Like, I mean, it's obvious to anyone that doesn't understand neurology that this guy needs to be checked out when Parker gets up from his tackle that game. So you're telling me a professional whose job it is to watch the game and take a look at these plays, yeah, and follow each and every. They have their own review section. They could go through and watch footage, reverse it, and watch it again. And none of them caught what was going on. None of them stopped the play to check this out or get him checked out. I'm not buying it. Like it to me speaks to no one's actually doing that. They only do it when they want to do it, which like the Dolphins game where, oh, we immediately saw the quarterback stumble. We're gonna have to check him out. He's out for the game. I don't know. I just don't see. There is no way in my mind that they were actually watching that play because it was obvious.
I thought that was a rule. Did they implement that after Tua got hurt?
They
No.
did, but they have to execute it. They got to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Once they pulled him from the game, yeah, he was done. But the fact that it took him, that they saw him stumbling getting up, they saw him get to the line nearly falling over, and it took the wide receiver throwing his hands up, calling got people over for them to actually blow the whistle and to take him off.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I bring up Mike White and all this, and I know that that wasn't concussion related, but still, it was. You're gonna tell me you saw that play on Mike White and you said that guy was healthy to play that game?
I thought he had like three broken ribs after that. He stepped into that and he got crumpled. Like got folded in half going the other way. I did not envy what that had to feel like.
No, and again, I what aggravates me about all of this is we're getting to this point of, and somebody had mentioned this way before this, and it's one guy can make a call at any moment and say that he thinks he saw a possibility of a stumble and that player's removed from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it not called with Devontae Parker, but we saw it imaginary one called with Teddy Bridgewater. So as long as this rule's in place with these sort of just however they want to call the game, we're talking about a Patrick Mahomes, a Jalen Hurts, a Josh Allen can be in the playoffs, and in the first quarter this could happen, and then they would have to play without their star quarterback just because somebody thought they may have possibly seen something.
It's got to be consistent. You can't just implement a rule like that and not, roll it out fairly to every team. Like Mike White should have been on the sidelines way before that.
Now, Mike White's a little different. It wasn't the head injury. It didn't have the exact axion, whatever it's called. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not the automatic disqualifier. But they should have done a little bit more. If you got to be rushed to the hospital as soon as the game ends, somebody didn't do the job.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Dan. And like, if this is going to be called, if this is going to be something that's in place, it needs to be called on something like what happened to Parker. Like that scenario is the entire reason it's in place, and it didn't work. So what do you do now?
I mean, you had Russell Wilson, who clearly was concussed when his head hit the ground, and he was getting ready to go back in the game for a second.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from here because each time this happens, the NFL just we'll make a new rule about it, and it just doesn't do anything. So hopefully something comes of it, but I think we all know kind of unless there's some outside pressure from something, I don't feel this is going to get any better. Um,
Like brush it under the rug.
yeah, I mean pretty much, right? So I guess moving on, we kind of went through that as much as we can. on a lighter note, on an interesting note, on one that I don't think many people saw coming. Uh, Thursday night, I know, think back almost a week ago. Thursday night, the Rams played the one team that I think John had picked them to like win the division or something, if I remember right. Um, they were playing the Raiders, who have not had a great season up until now, anyways. But the Rams brought in a new quarterback, Baker Mayfield, who is his third team this season, right? Browns, Carolina, now the Rams. Um, comes in, flies in Tuesday night. He's playing Thursday night. Well, we weren't sure he's going to play. And then they put in I don't remember, we don't even care about the other quarterback anymore. They put him in for a couple plays and then put Mayfield in, plays the rest of the game, leads them on a 2 minute drive to go up by 1 point and win the game with 48 hours practice, 48 hours prep. He's now the savior of LA, right? Um, Gannon, did you get to see that? Did you? What are your thoughts on Mayfield? Is he now coming back?
I saw highlights. I mean, God, I gave up on Mayfield after he was on the Panthers. I don't think that he's that great. I think this is mostly luck. I don't think this is going to be a repeat thing. I think that he's probably going to start the next game and everybody's going to hate him again because he ain't going to win, or he's going to do god awful and everybody's going to forget the week prior. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I am with Baker Mayfield at this moment.
Fair
You
enough.
say it was luck. Andrew Luck's been retired for a few years now.
Speak. You know, you spoke up there, John. So I was watching the post game a little bit, and Richard Sherman was putting a lot of choice words at the defense and the choice for the defense the last drive. And he kind of credits a lot of that drive and that game winning touchdown to the way the Raiders played defense. He's like, no one should have been playing in that formation. So do you think do you credit the Raiders for this comeback or do you credit Mayfield?
Josh McDaniels is the first coach to lose 4 games with double-digit leads in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot of blame on the coaching staff, absolutely. But Baker Mayfield still has to make that throw. One of my favorite tweets that I saw was that the Rams prime ordered a quarterback for Amazon Prime's Thursday night game. Like, it was great. I wish I knew who tweeted that. That was brilliant. Great job.
Mm-hmm.
You look, just because a defensive like lineup is played doesn't mean that it's a guaranteed touchdown, right? Mayfield had to make that pretty throw on that hash to be able to for the receiver to break it and score that touchdown. The defense did him a favor by allowing it to happen, but ultimately he still had to make the throw. I give Mayfield a ton of credit, especially when after the game he had to ask like where the locker room was because he didn't know. Like, come on. You could not have written a movie script and given it to somebody with that type of ending and them have believed you.
Yeah, I still can't get over the fact like 48 hours. You probably can't even remember this guy's name that you're throwing to, but you are able to get in sync with them. You're able to understand what the play call looks like, make the right choices. I mean, it's insane. However you think about it.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? Backyard football. You get a bunch of kids together. They probably have thrown the ball to a couple of them once in a while. You know, had a small group of friends, but it's just a bunch of randoms.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you'll still see them throwing the ball, and it was just like backyard football. Just don't think, don't scheme, just play. And Mayfield, when he does that, when he doesn't think, he's a good player. I mean, he was the number one overall pick for a reason.
So what you're saying is backyard football just beat the Raiders. That sounds about right.
Josh McDaniels has got to be on the hot seat.
I mean, yeah, you lose to the Rams who don't have Cup, have a quarterback's 48 hours. It's just not a good look.
And they lost to Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I know there's a couple. I mean, of course, we saw Carolina earlier with his first season. Didn't even make it a season as head coach. I know there's a couple coaches this year that are on the hot seat in their first season, which is kind of unheard of. Usually, give them a little bit to figure things out and get their stuff in place. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that it's just not working out for them this year. Um, Jumping into that, some recap from the games over the week. I'll let you guys jump in if you have anything um, to like kind of go over in these games. But Cowboys Texans, um, I don't. I thought for a minute there it was looking bad for the Cowboys. They come back in the fourth quarter with some heroics and pull out the win. Gannon, I know that's your division. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys almost losing to the Texans?
Dak, I how? I just, I, how can you be a double-digit win team and lose that bad to a team with one win?
They
I
won.
it
They didn't
barely.
lose that bad. They won.
That's right.
Winning
They
in the
won.
NFL is
No,
hard.
no, no,
Good
no, no,
teams
no, no,
find
no,
ways to
no, no.
win
Let me tell
games.
you this. No, no,
Bad
no, no,
teams
no,
find ways to
no, no,
lose
no.
games.
Let me tell you this. The Cowboys didn't win that game. The Texans destroyed themselves
They want to
A
keep the
win
first.
ultimately.
is a
Mm-mm,
win,
They want that
and
mm-mm.
it's
first
hard
pick.
to
They
do.
they should not have won that game. That was not their game to win. It was the Texans' game to lose. They're one win team for a reason. I They choke all the time. Prime example. And you want to think that they're going to go into the playoffs and after performances like that?
They're not just going to the playoffs. They're representing the
Hmm.
NFC in the Super Bowl. You heard it here
Uh-huh.
first. Coming from the
Right.
Dallas fan, that
Right.
is Gannon.
Uh,
Hmm.
we'll
Right.
see. We'll see. It's a. I think that I was taking a look. The somehow, right? Someone from the South has to make it in, even though we have no one with a winning record. And then I think the East had three teams that are right now in the playoff picture. Versus last year, I think you guys were in this predicament of like no one with a winning record, at least a couple of years ago. Um, so yeah, tough division.
Eagles snuck in with like 9 wins just to
That was
get
last year.
blown out by Tampa.
He's talking about the year where NFC least became a thing. Because I
Oh.
believe that was the year the Giants won the division with an 8-8 record,
Hmm.
Oof.
and everybody else had a losing record.
So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting seeing the Cowboys get into a little tougher schedule, especially in the postseason where they're not really known for playing well. So,
But
um,
they just got themselves a nice lift at wide receiver. They went out, they signed a guy wearing number 13 who's known to make some pretty impressive catches. And of course, you know I'm talking about Ty.
uh,
I ain't scared. I ain't scared.
I haven't seen much from him the last couple of years, but he hasn't had many quarterbacks to throw to him, so it could be interesting. Um,
Honestly, put in Cooper Rush.
I don't know about that. Um, Speaking of some other teams that are kind of coming back, showing up, Lions beat the Vikings. That was and not just like by a point or two. It was a good win by them. I know the last couple weeks, the last like maybe half the season or so, the Lions have kind of started playing well. I know they're still a little bit maybe out of the playoffs, but not by much anymore. Um, I don't know, John. Are the Lions coming back? Are they a legit team going into the end of the season?
I want to say something that's going to blow some people's minds. If this team makes the playoffs, I think they win a playoff game. I don't think they make the Super Bowl here. I'm not crazy. I think this is a team that if they make the playoffs, with the way their offense is clicking, they and the way Dan Campbell's coaching, they might win a playoff game. They threw on a third down play, a crucial play of a game. They threw it to the most athletic player on the football field, and of course, I'm talking about Penny Sewell, their left tackle. They put the left tackle in motion and hit him on a pass play. It was brilliant. It was genius, gutsy. I love it. This team's fun. This team is Detroit fans. First off, we said it last week on the podcast. You're welcome, but enjoy this. This is a fun team.
Yeah, they started the season 1-6. 1-6. They are now 6-7. They pulled the Dolphins. Isn't that the Dolphins last year?
I'm rooting for them. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I think they look legit too. I think it's a fun team. They're not taking themselves seriously just yet, which I think is a good thing. And we should see what happens.
I would be curious on the average of points that they have scored because they haven't not scored a double digit game all season long.
For a while, I know they were the top scoring team. Like they had the most points for a while.
They had a few weeks that weren't so good when they were really banged up,
Hmm.
so that's gonna impact them.
I lied. They got blown out by the Pats and then blown out by the Cowboys. So I don't know. Anyway,
Well, the other one I wanted to hit on was the Jags over the Titans. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but it was kind of interesting to me. Jags have been up and down this year. Um, uh, Lawrence had a good game based on some stats: 368 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, Run game wasn't really there this week, which has been kind of carrying them up until this point a little bit with ETN. They somehow reined in Henry for most of the game. Um, so again, another stat point: 36-22, Jags over Titans. Any comments you guys have on that game?
Titans are a mess. They're gonna make the playoffs, but they're not a good team. They're the AFC version of the Minnesota Vikings.
They've definitely been
give you
going
that.
downhill. Yeah, the last couple weeks they haven't looked like the Titans we kind of know.
Definitely not. Jags have kind of a tough schedule for the rest of the season, so
Jaguars were never looking to go anywhere this year.
Pretty much. I mean, what, first year of the head coach, second year for Lawrence, or is it third? Yeah. So they're building some things up still, but they have a good base. I mean, Etienne, Lawrence, Peterson was a coach. I mean, I think they're putting the pieces together.
do you imagine a playoff with Jaguars and the Lions?
No, that doesn't. That would never exist the world would end.
The world would end.
Yeah, I don't think Jags are in a place for the playoffs yet. They're 5-8, so
But only a couple of games behind the Titans, though.
I mean that's true. I don't know. We'll see.
Seen crazier stuff.
There's only 4 games left, so I'll have to see what that looks like. Yeah, I was looking ahead to next week. Some of the games, there's not a ton to look forward to. We have some Saturday games. First week jumping into Saturday games. I don't like the fact they're all on NFL Plus, so I'm gonna have to find a way to watch those games not on NFL Plus. If you catch the drift there. But yeah, so I picked out a couple. The rest of them, I don't feel I really have much going for them. But we do have Titans against Chargers. Could be an interesting game. Uh, G-Man, your uh, lead here division, Giants versus Commanders. Do you think that'll
They
have
tied.
any?
They tied last time.
That's true.
I'm
Which
rooting for
was
the Giants.
2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Giants.
That'll be
But
a interesting game. They always come out and play each other whenever those teams meet. It's always a good game.
the
To be
Giants are so
fair,
scrappy.
they're
It's
usually two really bad teams playing each other.
yeah,
But it's still fun
I'll
to
give you
watch,
that.
right?
I'll give you that.
Uh, the only other one I saw, Lions and Jets. That could be an interesting game. Jets seem to not be able to make a bad decision this year, so we'll see if they can keep it up. Lions are looking good, so if they can keep their streak going. Um, Other than that, we can jump into some of our games. Uh, I guess, John, do you want to rip the band-aid again, or do you want to let Gannon talk about how it's going to be a tough game against the 3-10 Bears?
We'll talk about Miami Dolphins here. So, as I kind of talked about a little bit earlier, Miami Dolphins, they need to get their offense right. We are a pass happy offense with the number 5 overall quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, who still leads the league in quarterback rating and all these other random stats. I'm looking at the weather for Saturday night. Looks to be a beautiful 26 degrees with snow and 17-mile-an-hour winds. So at least the winds dropped from 30. Miami better figure it out. The defense lately has played Josh Allen tough. And Josh Allen has had, especially in those windy, cold environments, Josh Allen hasn't been the superhuman that people seem to think he is. But he can still run the ball for 75 yards and still lower his shoulder. The defensive line is going to have to play an amazing game like they did last week and contain him and make him uncomfortable. The offense, they're going to need to get back to running the football, hitting some of the underneath stuff, get Tyreek and Waddle healthy. Tua, don't miss your throws. This is a big game. I don't think Miami has it in them, but this is a big game.
We'll note that you didn't think Miami had it in them last time they faced the Bills either.
I will also note that I was the only one of us three that didn't believe Miami would beat the 49ers.
That's true.
Hmm.
So they kind of cancel each other out. So Miami's got this.
Yeah, it'll be
Uh,
it'll be interesting because this is what they would need to catch up to the Bills. Um, I mean, I think like you're saying, this is pretty much do or die for Miami. Especially, they're only one game ahead of the Patriots and the Jets. So dropping another game to either of those guys, it's not going to be a good time.
4 to 7 inches of snow is what is still is expected.
Uh,
Just to give you guys an idea for those listening, and maybe you guys don't watch the Dolphins closely. They had heaters going last week. It was 50 degrees in LA, and the Miami Dolphins had heaters on their end of the sidelines.
oof.
Welcome to South Florida.
We love it.
Uh, all right, I'll jump in here. I'm not gonna hit much on this. I mean, you have the Bengals. What? Let me look up their win streak right now.
I think it's a 5 game winning streak.
Yeah, but they're on a win streak. They can't do no wrong. Buccaneers are the opposite. We've had a couple wins here and there, but they've been. I think the last two wins we have, which would outside of those two wins, we would have like a 5 game lose streak. Those two wins were both last minute touchdown drives to take over and win the game. So we are not playing complete football. We do not have the team to get. We're just not playing the entire game. Bengals are playing the entire game. They have the weapons. They have everything they need. They're on a hot streak. Um, I just don't think this is going to be a great game for us. And yeah, it is 5 games. They haven't since November started. They haven't lost the Bengals. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this one. We'll see. maybe last week was the kick in the butt we needed.
I would like to say one thing. Remember before I said that this team would regress, and I was kind of, strapping my stuff when they were 4-5,
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
or 4-4, I guess, whatever it was. Good luck.
How many
Yeah.
tablets does Brady have to break before he finally gets good?
Um, it's what, two per game right now, so I guess more than that. Uh, all right, Gannon.
All
Philly,
right.
Philly against
Yes.
Chicago.
Oh, oh boy.
What's
Christmas
your
came early.
prediction?
Do we
Yeah.
do we want another 50-point game from Philly? I mean, it wasn't quite 50 points last week, but I mean, that's what I'm kind of predicting here. I think that it's going to be blowout. Fourth quarter, they might rest some starters. I I don't expect much from the Bears. I think, you know, Eagles have been on a dominant tear as of late. So yeah, I mean, Eagles are a 9-point favorite going into Chicago, if that tells you something.
Do you remember how defeated Gannon looked after dropping that game to Washington football team?
Like, if
I,
he
I
won,
look. I'm not. I'm talking to Tom. Tom, do you
yeah,
remember?
fine.
Do you remember how defeated he was when that occurred?
It did. I think even heading into the next week after that, he was a little skeptical of his team to pull it back together. And then I think they stumbled a little bit that week too. They still won, but they stumbled a little bit. He was still the. Now he seems back on the podium, back on the pedestal. He's uh he's ready to win out the rest of the season. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready. I almost. We're so down. He needs to come down with us. This is ridiculous.
So what are you saying? Are you saying the Bears is a trap game and we're gonna lose and next week I'm gonna come in here and say we lost to the Bears? I don't see it. I don't see it.
If Justin Fields can get 175 yards rushing with two 45-yard rushing touchdowns, I would be ecstatic.
He can
I
do
don't
it.
know. We have Jalen Hurts. That's all I got to say. He could just twirl a cane as he's running through the defense. Oh man.
Well, good luck. Yeah, I think. I mean, I kind of agree. I think the Bears don't pose much of a threat. We'll see. I mean, someone on this podcast keeps saying that a win's a win. It's hard to get in the NFL. Um, but I think the week after is going to be when you guys are playing Dallas. I'm looking forward to that game.
At Dallas.
Mm. All right. Well, I think we made it through most of our outline today. Do you guys, before we get into last word, do you guys have anything from the past week or anything else you wanted to chat about today?
Patrick Mahomes is still my MVP.
Did you see
Uh,
that
That dude,
that
that
little
dude, I was
toss to
just
the
gonna say
yeah.
that throw that he made, running to the sideline, just across his body. That was the most Mahomes touchdown that I've ever seen. Kansas City is, they're so good. They have weaknesses, but that dude, Mahomes, eh, he's so good.
uh,
Yeah, I couldn't believe that not only it was like a no look just toss. It wasn't even a throw. He just tossed it. A no look toss, 50 plus yard touchdown. And it was just like you said, it just looked like Kansas City. The fact that he was still able to break a couple tackles to get to the end zone. And I was like, just everything went right during that play. And that's just exactly what happens to that team.
3 interceptions.
Doesn't matter.
3 interceptions
It,
to Denver.
Denver has an
Denver.
amazing defense.
They have 3 wins.
Denver has an amazing defense. It's something like if their offense could score 17 points a game, 17 points a game, that's a very low bar in today's NFL. They would be like 10 and 2 or something. It's stupid how good the Denver Broncos defense is.
Hmm.
Besides, when you throw what did he do? When you Mahomes throws for 352 yards with 3 touchdowns and is able to also what did he ran the ball some too, didn't he? No. It's okay to throw a couple of interceptions as long as you are equalizing it with touchdowns and running an efficient offense.
He did run it. He had -3 yards.
He got probably kneel downs and maybe a little
Uh-huh.
sack. Doesn't matter. Mahomes is special.
I'm just saying, you could scream to the rooftops that Patrick Mahomes should be the MVP all you want, but everybody knows at the end of the day, it's Jalen Hurts.
Got a few more weeks left.
Hmm.
I'd be interested to see what that looks like at the end of the year.
Don't worry, I pinned it on the Discord. Eagles Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts MVP. We could call it later that I was right. I have timestamp.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think there's Tua hasn't quite had. There's been some down games for him, but they were showing some stats like the improvement from last year to this year is insane. Um, like the numbers he's putting up, the passer rating increase, the average yards per throw increase. I don't. It's unheard of. And what he's doing. So I mean, you'd like to see a shout out there, but again, I don't know MVP with him having a couple down games. Usually MVP's kind of straight through the whole thing. So
Not well. Keep in mind too. Also missed 3 games.
yeah, yeah, with the
If
injury.
he needed not to have bad games to overcome those 3 games,
Yep.
and those 3 games are with those 3 games, he's done.
But
It's the MVP race is between three players right now.
hmm. But yeah, just a little shout out there because I didn't realize how much of a difference from last year to this year, and it's pretty crazy.
And if he doesn't find a way next week, there's going to be loud questions about is he the guy?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, the way they played the beginning of the season, I don't think there should be any question that he's the guy.
It's not how you start a season, it's how you end a season. You can start the season 15 and 1, 16 and 0, 17 and 0, but if you lose the big game and you go 18 wins and one giant loss, you still didn't win a Super Bowl. That was my little dig at the Patriots. With Tua, he needs to be a team that Dallas is a good example, right? Dallas wins a lot of games in the regular season, but chokes in the playoffs. Tua, right now, can win a lot of games early in the year. He needs to come in clutch and win a big game in December to show that he can carry a team when it matters and not do it when he has the best team around him, when he's throwing a 4 first round receivers and has 3 first round linemen and and a defense that has first and second round talent all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah, and a tough game, tough environment, division on the line almost. Yeah, if you guys lose this game, you're what, 3 games behind with 3 games to go. So,
It
um,
becomes a wild card place, and
yeah.
and even then, you still could miss the wild card because your remaining schedule is pretty nasty. I mean,
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, I don't care if he's having a down year. He's a good player.
He'll win just to spite you. Like that's the kind of player he is. He'll find a way to win just so you can't win.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, um, yeah, I think that rounds it out for today. I'll give you guys last word, and we'll go ahead and sign off. So, Gannon, if you want to go first.
Okay. So, very off topic as it always is. Um, do you guys hate the fact that after Halloween, they start rolling out Christmas stuff? It's like you go to Kmart or Walmart or whatever, and there's Christmas trees. And we haven't even hit Thanksgiving yet.
This
And
this
you
was
start
like
hearing Christmas music. I'm just like, why? It's too early for this.
It should have been your final word like 3 weeks ago, man. We're like
I
a week and a
know,
half
I
from Christmas.
know, I know. It was just a thought, and I was like, I hate it so much. I wonder if someone's with me, or do you guys love Christmas and that's like your favorite time of the year and you don't care?
My rule is Christmas waits until after Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving is when Christmas music is allowed to be played.
That's fair game.
Mhm. Yeah, my
But I
thing's
think
just
they're getting cheeky. They're getting cheeky and putting it before Thanksgiving now.
I saw Christmas stuff before Thanksgiving. Again,
yeah.
you're a few months late on this.
Hmm.
I know that. I know that.
Uh, all right, John, over to you.
This is going to sound like I'm stealing his idea here. It wasn't, okay? I want to remind every male listening we are 12 days away from Christmas. Start your shopping now. Don't wait for 11
I
days.
need a pen and paper. Can you say that again?
12 days until Christmas. Start shopping now.
Good
What'd you get
advice.
me?
A plane ticket to move down here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's banned from Florida after some of the things he said off air.
Josh
Ooh.
Herbert, MVP.
All right.
Justin Herbert. Josh.
Yeah, I was just not going to let you, I was ignoring you. Back on topic.
My final word, I guess. Been watching the World Cup, some good games. If you didn't watch last week and you want, okay, I won't say that. Don't go watch it if you don't like soccer. But there was a game last week, Netherlands against Argentina. 22 players on the field, right? 11v11. There was 18 yellow cards given out in that game. That's almost a 1-to-1 ratio of people on the field. It's an interesting game, badly refed. I don't know. World Cup's been crazy this year, so that'll be my
USA.
last word.
USA.
No, that's
US.
2026. That's our year,
Oh,
man.
my bad.
You
I'm
2026.
think
sorry.
you think they're ever going back to Qatar? Never.
I can't imagine they do, but
I could not imagine.
it's all money, man. It's all go where the money
Hey, yeah.
goes. So, all right. Well, appreciate everyone that joined in. We had some chatters today. Thank you for your contributions. Again, always live on Tuesdays, or at least we try to be, and always put it up on YouTube afterwards, or at least we try to. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks everyone for joining in. Peace.